Have you ever walked into your classroom and found an unexpected visitor with a tail? What would you do if mice started taking over your school? Would you freak out? Would you grab a broom? Or would you turn it into the greatest prank war of all time? Today, we're sharing the wildest, funniest, and most unexpected moments from our school's great mouse invasion. How did we survive? What pranks went a little too far? And what life lessons did we actually learn from a bunch of tiny intruders?
This is Teachers on the Loose.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Teachers on the Loose, the podcast where we turn teacher tales into belly laughs and life lessons. I'm Celeste.
I'm Kristen.
I'm Allison.
And I'm Kelsey.
Today, we will be sharing the story of the time we may have found a few four-legged creatures trying to make their home in our building.
But before we get into that, we want to say thanks for listening to last week's episode when we loaded up the buses and took everyone on a field trip. We learned that sometimes fun and learning can go hand in hand outside of those four walls of our classroom, along with a little bit of chaos and mishaps.
So every home has some sort of unexpected visitor, right? We've all experienced that in our homes. So how did this invasion start?
I honestly don't know how it actually started, but in my room, how it started with me is one very calm day. We had started the morning with Number Corner. If you're not familiar, Number Corner is a time of day where we all sit on the carpet and we do math around the calendar. And it's going great. Mm-hmm. Kids are engaged. Mm-hmm. We are learning. Mm-hmm. For this particular time, I'm sitting on the back counter with all the students on the carpet facing me. And all of a sudden, I see something out of the corner of my eye. A tiny little four-legged something scampering through the children.
Did that bode well for you? Like, did the students just sit there and watch it? Or
I don't feel like the students saw it, but I sure did. And when I did, there was no keeping calm. I screamed like a little girl. And I jumped on the back counter and it was chaos immediately. It was so bad.
I love this because I feel like it's your turn now, Celeste. Tell us more about your four-legged little new student.
Well, all I remember is I'm up on the counter and the kids are on the carpet and they're screaming. And I happen to have a parent volunteer at this time and she's looking at me like, "What are you doing?" And I just kind of pointed and then pointed at the door. And then the next thing I know, we have evacuated the classroom and we are all
evacuated the classroom.
100%. We weren't staying in there. Are you kidding me? There was a four-legged creature. I'm not proud to admit this, but I'm pretty sure that I left the parent volunteer and my paraprofessional in my room to deal with the four-legged creature while I took my students to a different room and taught them from a different room and then waited until they told me it was all clear.
And this is for one little mouse. You did all this.
I mean, it was alive and it was running through the classroom while I was trying to teach. Are you kidding me? Like, you would stay calm, Kristen. Are you kidding me right now?
There's no way she would have stayed calm.
I feel like we can't judge me right now because we should. Never mind.
We should what?
Nothing. Well,
What?
We should judge me is what you're going with?
I feel like it's your turn.
Fair enough.
I feel like we should just listen and not judge.
Oh, Celeste, did they ever get rid of the mouse in your room?
They did. So they ended up trapping it in the corner and then they did not hurt it or harm it in any way, shape, or form. I don't even remember how they got it out of the classroom, but they definitely captured it, got it out of the room, and then we were able to return and finish teaching the rest of the day.
Yeah. I had a similar experience. I don't know that they actually let it out too far from the building because I think it came back in because a couple days later in my classroom and we're all working at our desks. Beautiful afternoon, just enjoying the day, getting our writing done, soft music playing, and a parent walks in and says, "Hey, I'm here for my daughter's birthday." And I was like, "Oh, it's so good to see you." and she's carrying 24 beautifully crafted cupcakes. And all of a sudden, she screams and jumps up onto a desk, on top of a desk, not on a chair. She jumped onto a desk, holding these
holding
cupcakes.
it?
Yeah, none of the cupcakes were harmed in this.
That's impressive.
But yeah, jumped up on a desk, and so she's standing there screaming. She's like, mouse! Well, you know, that's contagious. So everybody, all of my students are now standing on their desks. They're like, well, she can do it, I can do it. So everybody's standing on their desks and screaming that there's a mouse running around in our classroom. And there was. I saw it, and I was like, okay, everybody out, everybody out. So I evacuated my classroom as well, just because I didn't think that there was going to be a way to bring them back from that. And so I said, let's go have the birthday party down in the cafeteria. So we went down and had the cupcakes down there. At that point, I let our custodian know, our brave warrior custodian, and he went and took care of the mouse. I honestly don't know how, like, what happened from there. I just know that he came and said, you guys are free to go back into that classroom. So those two little mice.
Or was it the same?
Or it could have been the same. Could have been the same mouse. He could have came back in because I think he found a sweet deal. Being a mouse in a school would be a sweet deal.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't they write a book about that?
Yeah,
The
that
mouse
sounds-
and the motorcycle?
Oh, yeah. Was
Or
that
if
in
you
a
give
school?
a mouse a cookie?
Yeah. Take a mouse to
comes-
school.
Yeah.
Okay, so how did this 2 mice invasion start a prank war?
Well, whenever there's fear involved, it's like, game on, right? Have some fun, right?
You have a fear, we got a solution.
Yes.
Or we're going to make it worse.
Yeah. And so, you know, you can get anything on Amazon. And I was like, hey, maybe some fake mice would be fun.
Mm-hmm.
So I ordered some fake mice.
Yeah, you did.
And, you know, we just started putting them in different spots all around the school.
Yeah, that was another one of those. You hear somebody screaming in the morning and you're like, oh, that's where the mouse is. Okay.
Is it Tom Hanks or is it a mouse?
Or is it a mouse? We aren't sure. But yeah, so there were some little fuzzy mice floating around.
I do remember the first time you did get the mice from your Amazon order, and you had something to say to me. It was early in the morning because we were there early as usual, and I was sitting at my desk, and you kind of did something towards my desk. Wasn't quite sure, but you had a look on your face like like I'm up to something. But
What are
I
you
wasn't
talking
quite
about?
sure.
I have such a good poker face.
No.
You could always tell the look.
I knew you were up to something, but I wasn't quite sure. And then I don't know, did you walk away and then I found it after and you were like just waiting outside my classroom? I think that's how it happened. And I look down and my mind processes, okay, that is fake, but it's still surprising. This is all within like a split second. And then I let out the loudest scream possible. And of course, you come around the corner with a big old grin and evil laugh and just enjoying my moment of fear. Thanks, Celeste.
You are welcome.
Well, and then there was the time that I was terrified. Okay, and I just have to preface with this. I am not afraid of wildlife. I am not afraid of bats. I am not afraid of, I'm not fond of snakes, but I'm not like screaming. You know what I mean? Like, but mice, something about mice, they can crawl up your leg or I don't know. It freaks me right out. So when I had that mouse in my room, I was like, all right, let's get out. And then they were like, we got it taken care of. And I was like, okay. So I told myself, that's it. The mouse has been found. We're done. There are no more mice. I can safely come back. I feel safe in my environment again.
And Kristen and I were like, hey, let's put the fake mouse in Allison's backpack right by her
In
desk.
my backpack, right by my desk, on top of, like, it was open, but it was right there.
So you come into your room
Yeah.
and what happens?
I come in my room, I come around, I go to sit down, and I look down and I see it and I scream super loud, and then I catch my breath and instant tears, and I just start bawling, and I'm like, no, I thought that we were done with the mice. And
Aw.
then Kristen and Celeste come in, and then they felt really bad because I had like literal tears.
Yeah.
Oh,
And that's when I realized, though, that it was a prank and not a real mouse. And then I thought it was funny, and I laughed.
Did
and I
you
was
though?
like,
I feel like you kind of did that, like, ha, 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 that's funny.
well, it took me
Guys,
a little while
laugh.
to calm down. It took me a little while to be like, okay, this is real, that it's a prank. It's not a real mouse. This is reality, is that I don't have a mouse running around my room right now. So
Yeah,
this
we
is
did
good.
feel bad though, right, Celeste? We felt bad.
I mean, I never like to make anybody cry, but the scream that happened first was epic.
Yeah, I could have been cast in a movie with that one. It was pretty
Like a
good.
horror movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
What I love about this mouse prank, though, is it was all over the building. Everybody got involved. I mean, the custodian ended up taking the mouse and then a clean mouse trap. And then he put the tail of the fake mouse in the clean mouse trap and hid it, so that when I came into my classroom, I thought that a mouse had been caught. And of course, I scream, and he thought it was so funny because he's like, "Ha ha, gotcha!"
That's hilarious. Good for him.
And then I think when I was out in the modular, you would come with one of our other coworkers when I was, supervising children on the playground doing my job. And you would come in and put like 4 or 5 mice all over my classroom.
Yeah, and I would hide one on fishing line so that I would make it look like it was moving.
My goodness. Do people ever work?
Kelsey,
Just kidding.
I was
all the
working.
time.
I got my
Do you
whole
want to look at our
class-
test scores? We have high test scores.
Oh, bam.
Talking about including everybody, I remember then the next year I moved into the second grade role. So I had some of Celeste's students from first grade in my classroom the next year. And they were like, we need to get our old teacher back and let's play a prank on her. So we went in and we were, do you remember what we even told you? What was the setup for
You
it?
were going to sing me a song. I don't know if it was like Christmas time or what, but you were like, can we come sing you a song? And I was like, oh, that's adorable. Yeah, come sing me a song.
And then one of the students had a mouse on a string, and during the song threw the mouse out and like pulled it back like it was walking.
But here's what you need to know. I was 100% like I knew what was happening.
Yeah, 100%.
And so I had to fake that I was scared of this mouse.
It was one of those things where the kid, because they're 7 and 8, right? They are not good prankers yet. So they're like, hey, we're going to sing a song for you. And she knew, but she played along so well and was, I can't wait to hear it. And then the kid that was going to throw the mouse was like, it was all tangled up. And so, but in their minds, that prank worked. They got a reaction from their old teacher and they thought that was hilarious. And so it was just a good time for everybody.
Yeah. And when I have 4 or 5 mice around the classroom, my kids love finding them. It doesn't scare them anymore. It's almost like you could say an Easter egg hunt or something like that. Let's find the 5 mice hiding around the classroom. And then they do want to try and put it into your classroom too. But I don't remember getting you like Allison did.
I don't know. I just remember then it turned into Christmas gifts, and I opened a Christmas gift, and there were 5 stuffed mice ornaments that I could hang on my own Christmas tree.
Aww.
I don't hang up all 5, but I do hang one up each year as a memory. And then I came back to school after the summer, and I was all excited to start the new year. I'm like, there's no mice. Everything's going to be great. We're going to have an awesome year. And then I looked at my door, and apparently over the summer, the mice made a little home.
Well,
A real home?
not quite like that. So I had gotten a vinyl cutting machine and I found the cutest thing. It's like a little mouse hole that you can cut, in black, so it looks truly like one, especially if it's dark in your classroom. And I think the mouse hole, along with like a clothesline for little
Yeah, he was hanging
mouse
up
clothes.
his laundry.
Oh, cute.
So I put that on her wall. It's so cute.
Aw.
It's still there. I'm actually, well, maybe it's not. I don't know.
I'll have to ask Simone. She's in your
She is in
classroom.
my room. Maybe it's still there.
Yeah.
It was adorable.
All right, so the mouse invasion was a little bit crazy and a lot of fun. But looking back, it taught us a lot more than just how fast teachers can jump onto their desks. Sometimes school and life throws you unexpected challenges, and the best way to get through them is with a little bit of humor and a lot of adaptability. So how can keeping a sense of humor help when things don't go as planned in the classroom?
Well, I just think about that moment when I was teaching number corner and I saw the four-legged friend and I had to jump up on the counter. I could have let that derail our entire day and we could have just been done. But I took a deep breath, formulated a plan in my head, took all the students to a different place, and then we were able to keep learning, even though teaching from a different room definitely wasn't on the lesson plans for that day, nor was having a parent volunteer and a paraprofessional chasing something around my room.
Wow, that's weird. Because when I had a bat come to my classroom, I was able to maintain
The bat
calmness.
was not in your classroom, Kristen. The bat was never close to you or in the classroom.
And I continued teaching in my classroom. I didn't need to go to
You
another
did not
classroom.
continue teaching. You screamed and you ran to Kelsey.
And then you went to the doctor. Did you go to the doctor, Celeste?
I did not go to the doctor.
Probably should have.
I did
You
not.
probably should
You
have.
should have.
What would I say?
I don't know.
There was a mouse in my room and I think it bit me.
Can you check me for rabies?
I think turning to humor through it all with the pranks, I think helped us keep in control of our fear too. You know, if you can't beat them, join them, right? So instead of being afraid and whatever, we just had fun with it and kept the prank going. I mean, I did have fear and I did cry like a baby, but then I got over it and I had fun.
Are you over it?
Yes.
Are you?
Well, I
You should
still
say
don't
yes.
like mice.
So is there a balance between making light of a situation and addressing like real concerns? Were students ever really in danger?
There's always that moment where you have to take stock, right? Like where you're like, are children being harmed? Now, in my case, children were not being harmed. However, they were standing on their desk. So I had to take control of the situation very quickly before somebody did get hurt. And so I think it's just when you're in that moment of taking a deep breath and saying, like, I'm the one in charge. They're going to listen to me if I tell them to get off their desks and to line up in the hallway, right? Or just being in the moment to say, this isn't going to be something that's going to define our day, or this isn't going to be something that's going to wreck our experience. We're going to power through it.
I love that because you taught your students that when there's a situation that's not working out, you know, you can make
Do
a
you have to
difference.
pivot?
You pivot. Yes.
Yeah.
You still had the birthday party. You still celebrated that student, just in a different location, and all was good.
Yeah, I think focusing on what you can control in the situation. Like there's always going to be unexpected things that happen, but what are you in control of and how can you pivot to continue whatever you need to do?
Absolutely. So if this were to happen again, would you handle it any differently, Celeste?
Honest?
Honest.
No. If I saw a four-legged creature crawling through the classroom, I would still get up on the counter and scream, and I would still evacuate and get the children out and go to safety. I can't say that honestly I would do anything differently.
You know what we need to do is we've got like the lockdown drill and we've got like the evacuation drill. We have the
Are you asking for a mouse
hold in
drill?
place. I do think that we need to have a practice if there's something out of the ordinary drill. You know what I mean?
Like a spider
a
or
bat,
cockroach.
a bat, a mouse. And how do we keep ourselves safe in that situation? And, you know, we need to practice that a little
So
bit.
what would the drill be? So like shelter in place, duck on the floor, hands over your head, evacuation, exit the building safely. Like what would the protocol be if we were practicing for a mouse?
Well, it would be meh, meh, evacuate the classroom. And then it would
Mouse
say,
sighted.
yeah, mouse sighted. Meh, meh, evacuate the classroom. Mouse has been sighted. And then the children would just quietly, and you could put in like spider or bat, like you could push a button and it could say whatever it is, right? And then the
Cockroach.
children will silently and very
Calmly.
calmly line up without touching each other or anything, and just line up single file and meet you out in the hallway. And then you can give them directions.
That's actually not a bad idea. When I taught in Florida, we had 2 outside doors. Like there was no inside hallway. So both of my doors went to the outside.
Oh, wow.
And lizards often got into the classroom. And so we often had students who just caught the lizards for me.
Oh.
I didn't jump on counters and scream.
Wow.
I would just be like, hey, psst, lizard keeper. You're up.
That's your job, your classroom job.
Yeah, I was just going to say
Yeah.
classroom
And then
jobs
they
with
would corner the lizard and then put like a cup over it and then take it outside. And yeah, they were the lizard whisperer.
Okay.
Nice.
So what's a piece of advice that we would give to teachers facing unexpected classroom chaos?
I think as like either a teacher or as a parent too, you've had different situations that you've had with your class or your own kids, and you think about it afterwards, like how would we deal with this the next time, and how am I going to prepare my students or my own kids in whatever situation that is. And I think it's always good to prepare for different things and walk them through that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like the Girl Scouts?
Yeah,
Yeah.
always
Oh,
be
wait,
prepared.
it's Boy Scouts?
They're both always prepared.
We're always prepared.
Yep.
Okay.
Just like
But I like that, Kelsey, because like if you have a bee or something around you, be calm, whatever. I'm not calm. I run and scream.
I have saved your life many
You
times
have,
at the
I
pickup line.
remember.
As teachers, we always have to expect the unexpected and be prepared to lean on each other and help each other through tough moments and come up with a plan when things don't go right.
That's right, Kelsey. All right, listeners on the loose, now it's your turn. This week, we're challenging you to find humor in the chaos. The next time something unexpected happens in your classroom, whether a tech failure, a student's hilarious comment, or a lesson totally going off the rails, pause and ask yourself, how can I turn this into a moment of joy instead of stress?
And when you do, we want to hear about it. Tag us on social media on Instagram at Teachers on the Loose or on X at TeachersOTL and send us your story. Who knows? We might just feature you in an upcoming episode.
Thanks for tuning in. And remember, laughter is the best part of any workday, even when it involves furry, 4-legged friends.
Join us next week when we talk about the day we realized who the real superheroes of our school were.
This is Teachers on the Loose.
I wonder if Amazon has mice, that just are like remote activated. So we
Oh,
can
so you
just
could
put
do
it to
like-
the
Compare.
test so we can test you and see how you would do.
The students.
And
Wait,
Celeste.
what? Are you saying that you're going to scare me with a mouse?
No. Yes.
What's happening?
I think that Kristen might have just had a thinking thought outside
on
of her
Amazon.
head, because now she's on Amazon trying to find a remote mouse.
I am. I'm looking it up right now.
$24.99. It'll be here
Here.
Tuesday.